I remember when I bought my first Airbnb in Arizona, the first month I owned it, the AC broke. It was just done, toast. And I was so mad at I was so anxious about it that I felt like I was having a heart attack. Like I had a proper panic attack, and I've only had like 2 of those in my life. And I'm on the beach in Maui with my family. My grandparents took us on a family trip, and I'm having a panic attack about this. And I look back at it now, and I'm like, if an AC broke today, which has happened to clients' houses, you just figure it out. You call the AC company, they get it done within the day.
Give the guests a little refund. They're happy.
Yeah. Now I've got like full on like quarterly inspections. I make sure that doesn't happen. But when stuff like that happens now, like years ago, that would have made me panic and really stressed me out. But I've gotten a lot more blunt to these kind of issues. Like if a guest claims I did something or they're threatening me, I'm just like, all right, I've heard it all at this point.
Welcome to the Rich Summers Report, where we talk real estate, business, and wealth building, all while keeping it real. No fluff, no BS. I hope that you enjoy the show. All right, guys, welcome to another episode of The Report. Today, we got a big meetup tonight here in San Diego, Beers and Deals, who my guest is going to be at. But excited because I got my man who's in our content mastermind. I got someone who's grew up in my hometown, someone who's crushing the Airbnb game and the content game now. I got my man, Billy Perez. Billy, welcome to the show, brother.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Yeah, man.
Excited.
Stoked to freaking connect, dude. I think I first met you at one of our meetups. You came here to the holiday party last year in the Summers Capital headquarters. And now you're in our freaking seven-figure creator content mastermind. And dude, doing your shit, bro. But dude, I didn't realize it until just today. You're from San Clemente.
Born and raised, oldest of 5. We all went to San Clemente High School, and found my way down here. Went to Point Loma Nazarene. Here I am.
Pedro's Tacos, man. That was the freaking jam, dude. The South Side Pedro's Tacos. I probably went there like 3 times a week as a kid.
Yeah, bro, that's the spot.
It is the jam.
I love San Clemente, dude.
Yeah.
I love Pedro's.
Yeah. So anyways, dude, I'm curious, man, how did you get into the real estate space?
So it's like a random story. It's not like a typical, I had my 9 to 5, built a bunch of cash, and then decided to cash out a 401k. I was a teacher for 4.5 years. So I spent a good majority of my career thinking that was going to be it, right?
What were you teaching?
I was teaching middle school Spanish in Solana Beach at a little private Christian school, Santa Fe Christian.
How big are these classes that you're teaching?
I had like 25 kids in each class. They stuffed them full, man. Yeah.
Wow.
It was fun. It was a really fun job.
And did you have multiple classes? Like it was like 25 and then an hour later you have another class of 25. How many classes a day would you teach?
6 sometimes. Yeah.
Wow. So that's potentially 150 students.
Yeah. Okay. I would meet 125 to 150 new students every year.
And you're teaching Spanish?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, so you're bilingual.
I'm good at Spanish. I wouldn't say I'm like fluent as much as I used to be.
But
you kind of lose it.
You're good with the grammar, the reading, the writing?
Yeah. I'd say I'm better at speaking, but it's certainly a lot easier to write and read in Spanish as opposed to like on the go, like speaking to someone down in Mexico, Ensenada.
Mi español es muy mal.
Está bien. Necesitas practicar.
Yeah.
Duolingo, bro.
I'm like, I know the basics to get around.
Yeah.
I could like hold a very basic conversation. But it's like you lose it so quick. So if I go travel in South America for like a few weeks, I'll get it quick. But then I come back here, I don't use it for like 6 months, 9 months, I forget everything, dude.
Because you like going to Medellin, right?
Medellin is one of my favorite cities in the world. Yeah. I would say top 3 in the world.
My brother's from Colombia.
Really?
Yeah, he's adopted from the capital city about an hour north. It's called Tunja.
Okay.
Yeah, so he's adopted from there when he was 12. And I just went back for the first time a year ago. I didn't go with him, unfortunately, but I really want to go.
Have you been to Medellin?
No, I haven't been to Colombia yet.
You have not been? Oh, you had to go, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you could literally, like, I think for anyone listening to this show right now, Medellin is like one of my favorite cities in the world. About 5 million people live there. It's this valley. So you fly in to the airport and you go through this tunnel to get to the city, and you go through this middle of this big mountain, and the tunnel pops out, and literally all you do is you see this big valley with lights everywhere. 5 million people. It's gorgeous. The weather there never gets hotter than 80 degrees, never gets cooler than 60 degrees, not much humidity. And the people there are freaking the nicest people you ever meet. Like 35 years ago, it was the murder capital of the world. Today, it is safer than a lot of major U.S. cities,
Yeah.
safer than Chicago, Baltimore, and San Francisco, to name a few. And the culture of the food is like second to none. Like literally the nicest people you ever meet, and then the affordability.
Yeah.
Like you can do a lot there. And then because it's in a valley, everything's green. It's like this big jungle. Everything's green, but no matter where you are in this valley, you have a crazy vantage point.
Yeah.
So like every restaurant or area you hang out in is like freaking just gorgeous. The views. And then if any listeners go out there, I always recommend staying in a neighborhood called El Poblado. El Poblado is like the neighborhood. It's like the vibey, trendy place with all the cool coffee shops, restaurants, places to hang out. But dude, yeah, one of my top 3 favorite cities in the entire world, and some cool people there, man.
I'm sold, bro. I mean, I feel like it gets a bad rap because of you watch the show, like if you see Narcos on Netflix,
Yep.
you know, they tell the Pablo Escobar story, and you see the horrific violence that was going on there. And I feel like you're natural, like you just assume that's what's going on.
And that was only 35 years ago.
Yeah.
You know?
I know. And so it's really cool to hear how much it's improved and how amazing the city is. It's just normal to travel there now. It's an awesome spot to be in. So
it's kind of weird going to, you can tour like Cumina 13.
Okay.
And I remember playing Call of Duty as a kid, and that was like one of the popular maps was Cumina 13. So it was weird like touring it, because you're like, you're going through all these like little like pueblos, and like you're like seeing exactly what's in the Call of Duty map, but in real life, right?
Yeah.
But it was really like that. Like people were just getting shot up left and right in that area. It was really rough. But now it's a beautiful city, man. Very safe, and some of the nicest people that you'll literally ever meet.
Amazing. I love South America, bro. I studied abroad in Argentina, in Buenos Aires, and loved it. I've been to Guatemala and El Salvador multiple times. I used to go to El Salvador every year, which I miss doing a lot. El Salvador's sweet. If you surf and you like good food, bro, it's amazing. And it's so cheap too.
I need to go there.
Yeah.
I need to go there and check it out.
Man.
Jack McCall was on the podcast not too long ago, and he did a big skydiving trip down in Venezuela. Wow. And I'm like, bro, I heard like Venezuela's not a great place to go right now. But he's like, dude, if you go to like certain areas, he said it's actually like pretty good. So anyways, we digress. I digress. So how the hell did you go from middle school teacher to full-time real estate investor?
Yeah, so I wouldn't say it's a super impressive story. I actually am one of those people that came into some money. So when I was 20 years old, my parents told me, hey, because I grew up middle class. We had a nice house, but we drove around like a 12-seater van. Like my parents, like we'd go we'd go shopping once a year to get new shoes and stuff. Like I wasn't like, hey mom, can I get this? And they'd just buy it for me. You know, we're just normal family, right? Normal family growing up in a really nice town. But they told me, hey, your grandparents, they want to bless you. They want to offer you some money. You know, your options are use it to go get your PhD like you always thought about doing. Because originally I was going to be a teacher for 20 years. I was going to become a principal for another 10, and I was going to retire. And that was my ticket to wealth, right? That's what I thought making money was, because my parents were teachers. And it's not their fault that that's what I believed was what the ticket
it's
to
what
wealth
you were
was.
exposed to.
Yeah, and I had amazing parents. I still have amazing parents who raised me to be the man that I am. So I attribute that to them. Like they taught me a lot of honesty. I grew up in a Christian household, so we had very good like moral compass, like what's right and wrong, don't lie, all the good stuff. And so I was presented with this money, and my siblings didn't know what to do with it. I didn't know what to do with it. And then like 5 years go by, and it's 2020. And I'm hearing about rates dropping, and I'm listening to this podcast called Bigger Pockets, and I'd never heard of it, and I had no idea what they were talking about. But the message I was getting was that right now is a great time to buy. And so I told my dad, I'm like, hey, I want to buy. And he's like, oh, I don't think it's a good idea. And everyone I talked to was like, are you sure? Because we're in the middle of a pandemic. It's not a safe time to buy anything. You know, everyone was holding on to
What time frame is this?
This was
2020 or 21?
April 2020.
Okay.
World shut down. I'm bored. I went from teaching every day, 8-9 hours a day to 3 hours a day. So they're still paying me, and I'm barely working, and I'm listening. I'm just listening to content. I'm listening to podcasts. I'm watching YouTube videos about Airbnb. I'm like, what is all this? How does this work? And so I finally decided to pull the trigger. And in July 2020, I bought my first house here in San Diego in a town called Claremont. Yeah. We call it East La Jolla if you're from Claremont. It was a 3-bedroom, 1-bath house. I invited 3 friends to live with me, one of them being my brother. So we packed out that space. I put my little brother in the backyard shed that they had from like Home Depot. He was living in a shed. And then I brought him into my garage eventually. He leveled up. Yeah.
Shout out Teddy. So Teddy was in the backyard shed, and then you got you and 2 others in the main house?
Yeah, and my 2 other friends lived in the main house. They're all Venmoing me, $700 a month. I gave them really cheap rent for the time. And it was great. And I later learned what I was doing was called house hacking, right? We all know what that term is. But at the time, I didn't know what it was. I was 24. I was really naive, really green. I didn't even understand what APR was. I didn't understand what an amortized loan was. I was like thinking that my $2,500 a month mortgage was going directly to principal, right? I didn't understand. And so I'm listening to more content after I bought the house. The house grew in value. And then that's when I was able to do a cash out refinance and buy my first 2 investment properties in Arizona that were already Airbnbs. And from day one, they were turnkey, ready to rock.
Yeah, I feel like the house hack is like one of the easiest ways for like the everyday person to become a millionaire.
Yeah.
I remember it's funny you said your brother Teddy was in the backyard. When I was in college, I lived in a bunch of houses with a bunch of my guy friends. It'd be like we would rent like a 6-bedroom home and put like 8 dudes in it.
Yeah. Don't tell the landlord.
Yeah, one of my buddies was like in the garage. He had like it was actually like a room that was like drywalled within the garage. But it's funny because we would have our ping pong table in the garage, so we're always playing beer pong, and that's where all like
in his room.
That's where all the alcohol consumption happened, was in the garage. Yeah. And so he had a little drywall around his room, but like the walls didn't go all the way up. So it's like he lived there with his girlfriend, and his poor girlfriend. But like, yeah, we were always partying in the garage. They're like sleeping. I was like, not a good look, but somehow he made it work.
Is that here in San Diego?
It was in. I went to Cal State San Marcos, so it was in San Marcos.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, his name is John Barry. Shout out John Barry. Love the dude.
Shout out John.
He's actually happily married now. Been like 7-8 years. Actually, it's probably been 10 years since he's been married.
Dang.
His wife, London. Yeah, good dude. Anyways, that said, man, then you go into Scottsdale. Was it Scottsdale or what part of Arizona?
So I bought 2 Airbnbs in Phoenix.
In Phoenix, what part?
One in South Mountain and then one near Biltmore, kind of.
Okay.
So near Grand Canyon University, not really near Biltmore, like 15 minutes east of Biltmore.
So how do you go from like being a teacher, okay, house hack, I get that, but then you're like, I'm gonna go buy 2 short-term rentals in Phoenix. How did you like decide, okay, Phoenix first of all, but then like why Airbnb?
I was dating a girl that went to GCU when I was in college. I was really young, and I was just out there a lot. And I'm like, oh, Arizona's awesome. You can go to the pool like 8 months out of the year. It's really hot. There's beautiful people everywhere. I just romanticized Scottsdale and Phoenix a lot. I thought it was a great place to be. I know you have some investments there, so I'm sure you agree. Like it's an awesome spot. It's really fun, great food. And so I figured I would do my cash out refinance. I had a little nest egg of like, because the equity exploded. I bought my house for about $700,000, and then when I did my cash out refinance, it was worth over $1 million in less than 2 years. It was crazy. The market exploded in San Diego, as you know, and so I had this opportunity to take advantage of equity. I didn't even get it. I was like, I can take advantage of this money that doesn't really exist unless you sell the house, but I don't have to sell the house.
Dude, it was a crazy time. So I mean, I remember like when the rates went down, and then it was just free for all. Like literally every single house on the market had 35, 40 offers. Yeah, it was so freaking crazy. Yeah, but great time to refi too. I mean, get like 30-year fix in the 2s. Like that's insane, right?
So I bought it in the 2s, and then I refied in the 4s, unfortunately. So I think I should have done just a
like early 2022.
Yeah. I did a refinance then. But I think it's worth it, man, because the investments that I bought, they cash flow. The mortgages are really cheap because it's Arizona, and they do great. And so they've been very, very good to me. I've been very excited about that. And so eventually, time went on. I managed those 3 properties just myself while I was a teacher still. And at one point in my 4th year of teaching, I was like, my lifestyle and what I'm doing outside of work just doesn't line up with what I'm doing, day to day. I'm working with teachers, and so. Educators are amazing and we need them in society, but they're not thinking like entrepreneurship. They're not thinking like wealth, right? They're accepting their fate. They're like, this is my job. I'm going to make at best $75,000 a year as a teacher in San Diego, which is not a lot. And this is what I'm going to do. Like, I'm going to serve the community. I'm going to serve these students. And I just thought, I think there's better ways to serve people. And I think building wealth and building, entrepreneurial business is the way to do it, because I want to be able to bless people, man. I want to be able to do what you're doing and throw parties for people and invite everyone in and welcome a community in San Diego. I want to be able to do more with my wealth, and I wasn't matching up with teaching, so that's when I decided to leave and start my business.
And what did you tell them when you left?
Yeah, the conversation was, it was tough because I felt like a celebrity on campus. Like the kids all saw me, they're like, Senor Perez, what's up? Like dap me up. And it was a really cool experience. And, the kids and I were great. It was the leadership, my principal, that conversation was tough because I was like, hey, I know that we're all supposed to be teachers for a reason, right? To do good in the community, to bring on the next generation and raise them right. But I feel like I can have a better impact on the world if I'm able to, have a better control of my future, my financial future. Mm-hmm. So, and he respected it. He gave me a hug after, and that guy's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. What'd you tell the kids?
I told them similar thing. Like, I didn't like bullshit them. I was like, hey, like I'm gonna move on. They already knew I was doing the real estate thing on the side. Yeah. Because I owned 3 homes, and I would talk about it and I would post about it, and so that didn't match up with my career, I guess, and so.
Yeah, dude, it's funny because did people tell you like at the time? Because I know I have a similar background. I was an air traffic controller for the FAA 11 years. When I left, a lot of people told me like, hey, like, are you sure you want to be doing that? And I had already been doing the real estate thing on the side for a couple of years at that point. Yeah. But still, people were like, hey, like, are you sure it's the right move? Like, it's pretty risky. You're going to walk away from a pension, all this stuff. And so I remember having to kind of like block out that noise. And I was like, I just kind of like laugh it off, Yeah. And I'm like, oh, yeah, for sure. Like, da-da-da-da. People joke, like, oh, you'll be back here in 6 months type of thing. And now the same people are like, they're like DMing me like, oh, like, congrats on everything. And I'm just like, but you don't know what you don't know. Right. And then I think for me, when I went full time into entrepreneurship, real estate investing, then all these like new doors started opening for me that I would have never seen because I was, consuming all my time in that space. But what was that thought process like for you? Did a lot of people tell you it was too risky to leave?
You know what? Because I was doing it on the side for so many years, I think like 2 years, I think people were like, yeah, that makes sense, man. Like you're doing the Airbnb thing. You walked into it. I was pretty open with people. I'm like, because they're like, how did you buy a house? Like, how did you buy 3? And I was like, all right, I didn't buy the first house because I was 24. I didn't have any savings, right? I bought the first house with an inheritance, with a gift from my grandparents. But all the improvements.
How much did you put down on that first house?
$150,000.
Okay. So that's not a ton of money.
Yeah, and that was it. And a lot of people have that opportunity to do stuff like that. I have friends that have $250,000, $300,000 in an account for them that their parents set aside that they can use whenever they want, and they could have used during that time. You meet people that just have a lot of money saved up, and they're just waiting, right? They're trying to time the market. They're trying to wait. And so
you can go get, for the folks out there that are like, oh, $150K must be nice. I'm like, yo, like you can go get literally like a bunch of like business lines of credit. And like my buddy, Jack McCall, does the credit stacking. You can come up with $150K of business lines of credit. You can go borrow $150K from a personal contact of yours, give them a little return on it. There's a lot of ways to come up with that money, even if you don't inherit it.
Yeah, I think so too. And I think it's just, the only kudos I give to myself is that I went for it. And I had the balls to say, hey, you know what? This is a terrifying amount of money because what if I buy this house and it burns down? And that's what people were saying at the beginning. Like, especially my friends and family, they were like, you're going to invest at a terrible time. There's COVID. There's a global pandemic. Why would you do that? Your asset could be worth nothing after you buy it. And it's better to save and wait, or to buy something like a degree, right? Pay for school. And I'm so glad I didn't do that because I got 2 degrees. I got a master's degree and a bachelor's degree, and I don't use them at all, right? Spanish bachelor's and a master's in education. And now I'm running two different businesses that had nothing to do with those degrees. So school is great. And I think, you might agree with me, like going to college was fun. It's a good experience, but like you don't need those degrees at this point in the world, right?
Yeah. So it's interesting hearing someone say that actually is coming from your background. You were a teacher. Yeah. Do you know Swanee? Swanee. His name's Swanee. His name's Michael Swan, but he goes by Swanee. Okay. He comes to our meetups. And dude, this dude is a fucking badass. He was also a middle school teacher. He taught PE, and he started cashing out his 401k. This is probably like 5-6 years ago. Okay. To buy small apartment buildings, and now this dude owns like about 300 units. Wow. All on his own.
So cool.
And it's freaking crazy. Like, yeah, it's nuts. Maybe it was a little bit sooner when he got started. Maybe it was like closer to 2015. But anyways, the point of the story is this. Like, he literally worked as a teacher for like 20 years and started cashing out his 401k to buy, he actually started buying condos, these like 1-bedroom condos in San Diego. And actually, now that I think about it, he started in like 2011, 2012. But all these condos, 2015, they all like doubled in value. Yeah. He 1031 exchanged them into small apartment buildings like in like the Midwest. and now has like 300 units. It's crazy. His story is nuts.
I feel like I've met this guy.
He's been on the Bigger Pockets podcast. It's actually one of the, I think it's like, might be the top downloaded podcast.
That story sounds so familiar because I'm like, he was a teacher. He's doing what I did.
Yeah. That's probably what it is. But he comes to our meetups. He might be there tonight.
Okay, cool.
But anyways, that said, that reminded me of that story, but very inspiring. And so, getting into the real estate game, and then before you were a teacher, what is maybe one aha thing that you realized that maybe you didn't know before?
I don't think I realized how hard it would be to really feel like you're doing enough. And I think I wake up every day, I have a plan, I have a game plan, what I'm going to do. And it's still 7 o'clock rolls around and I'm like, damn, did I do enough today? Did I do enough to grow this? Because when you're a teacher or when you have any 9 to 5 job, you go in, you do your job, 5 p.m., you clock out, right? You're like, I did a day's worth of work. I did what my boss told me to do. I feel good. Go have dinner, go do whatever. I feel like as an entrepreneur, when you set your own schedule, the amount of discipline you need, and then not only that, but to just feel like you had a great day of work and you had an efficient day is tough. It's been kind of messing with my psyche a little bit. I'll be like, damn it, I'm not doing enough. Babe, I didn't do enough today. I feel like I messed up and I didn't do a good service to the decision I made to leave a great job and to build a business. That's probably the moment, that aha, I didn't realize this would be a struggle for me. But it's a daily battle, right? It's a daily fight to be the best and to make every day count and grow your businesses. And it's been good.
Yeah. So today, you left the day job, and today you own how many short-term rentals, and then you're managing a bunch of short-term rentals. Talk about how many you own, and then how many are you managing?
So I still only own 3.
Okay.
I haven't bought anything in 2 years, and right now I'm managing 22 different properties.
Got it. And so the cool thing about that is had you not pulled the trigger to buy those short-term rentals out in Phoenix, you would have never saw the opportunity to start your own co-hosting business, right?
Exactly.
And so I always say you don't know what you don't know. And that's probably my biggest takeaway coming from the W-2 world to entrepreneur world is you don't know what you don't know. And so it's it all started with me cashing out my 401k and buying an 11-unit apartment building in Cincinnati for $300,000 to $50,000. Yeah. And I remember people telling me that was too risky and trying to talk me out of it. But it's okay, I did that. And then that gave me the confidence to do another deal. And then I saw an opportunity in the short-term rental game. And then I saw an opportunity to start my own co-hosting business like you have. Yeah. And then next thing you know, I'm buying apartments, I'm raising money to buy apartments. And I got the short-term rental management company like you have. And I'm like, well, what if you put the two together? Because multifamily was trying to get a little overheated. I'm like, well, what if we did a boutique hotel? And then it's okay, cool. What if we operate the boutique hotel with our management arm and we do a self-check-in, self-checkout model? What does that look like? And then we go do it. Oh, it works pretty cool. Let's do another one. And then it's okay, let's start a podcast. And then I start a podcast, and it leads to
it's that first
all
decision.
this other stuff. And it's okay, let's start a meetup. And then next thing you know, it's okay, well, what if we start a mastermind? And you get a mastermind. So it's all these opportunities, and then now we get a fund, right? So it's all these opportunities.
It's 20 things,
if you would ask me back in 2019, when I cashed out the 401k to buy that one 11-unit building for $350K, would it lead to all this? I would have thought you were crazy. But the only reason this all happened is because I took that first step. And you just don't know what you don't know. And then I get my feet wet, you get in the game, and you get the reps in, you get the at-bats, and then more doors open, more opportunities open, and then new levels unlock. And then next thing you know, you're back and you're holy shit, this all happened because I took step one. And that's why I say all the time, I tell people, dude, you don't need one more book. You don't need one more course. You need to take action. Yeah. And that's actions experience. I always say, if you don't have confidence, go give yourself a reason to be confident. Take action, even when you don't believe in yourself.
It's that first step, bro.
Yes.
And once you make that first decision, that first big jump, the first big 401k cash out, those other decisions become so much easier. You're oh, I already did the hardest part. That was leave the job and cash out. And so had I not done that first house build, had I not done the cash out refinance, I wouldn't be able to leverage that experience managing my own Airbnbs to build the co-hosting business. And now I'm at 22 properties managed, which a year ago, had you told me I'd go from 3 to 22, I would have been there's no way. I can't do that. I can't handle that.
And I think the key takeaway for the listeners listening is you took action. Action leads to competency. Competency leads to confidence. And so, so tell me about the team, dude. So you got 23 total that you're managing, including your 3?
Yeah, including my 3.
So 23. And what does your team look like? How many people do you need to operate all 23?
Against Patrick Switek, against his advice, it's just me right now. So I do have a cleaner that I trust a lot, and she only cleans my properties, and she'll do kind of like a lot of the inspections. She'll do a lot of the supply runs for me. And then my other cleaners that I have too, they're essentially my team, and I know they're not just working for me, but they're also like, they have my back. Like, I know them personally. I pay them really well. I pay them a lot more than the other people in this business, and I do that for a reason, because they go the extra mile to make sure the properties are running smoothly. But it's just me right now.
And all the properties are in San Diego?
Most of them are here in San Diego. 2 are in Oceanside. I have a furnished property that I'm managing, and then another Airbnb up there, and then I'm managing a property in Glendale, Arizona, alongside my 2 Airbnbs out there.
Okay, got it. So
3 out there.
So 3 out there and 20 in San Diego.
Yes.
Essentially.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then how are you getting new clients?
It's all been word of mouth and meeting people, bro. And I spent a lot of money on marketing, on Facebook ads, like a couple $1,000s, nothing, right? You get a lot of cold leads, you get a lot of spam. I actually have gotten a deal from your meetup before, which is why I kept coming. It's like the second one I went to, I met this guy named Will Johnson, and we shook hands. We talked about his business, and then like months later, he was like, "Hey man, I know you mentioned Airbnbs. I would love your advice on my property that I have that's vacant." And I'm like, "Oh, perfect." So just shaking hands, getting to know people, just meeting realtors has helped a lot. The clients I just signed this week, one was from a realtor, one was from my jacuzzi guy, and then another was from a family friend. So it's all been people I know and meet. I'm ready for the day when like my content and like my leads kind of start coming from that, and my podcast too, of course. But for now, it's just been word of mouth.
Yeah. Are you friends with Matt Floyd and Craig?
They sound familiar.
So they come to our meetups.
Mm-hmm.
They've been on the podcast before. They're in our hotel mastermind.
Oh, cool.
Great dudes. And then Matt's wife, Kim, has designed like a lot of my Airbnbs in the hotels. Sweet. But anyways, they have a similar story to you. They're both W-2 employees. Mm-hmm. They started this co-hosting business, and they have like, I don't know how many now, but they probably have between 30 and 40 short-term rental listings. But anyways, they're local here in San Diego. If you don't know them, I want to connect you. They're like great dudes to know. But anyways, that said, the co-hosting thing is interesting, man. So like we got a co-hosting business, but we really just do it like for select folks, right? So we manage our own stuff, and that's really what it's for. The boutique hotels we self-manage, the short-term rentals, and then we will manage for like a handful of other owners. It's typically like investors of ours,
for
or
Airbnbs.
Like, it's like it's got to be someone that's like in our community, like someone that like we're like, okay, like we'll do it as a solid, but we don't just like grow it. I just feel like for us, really, I don't want to raise a bunch of money to buy hotels and then give the hotels to some third-party management company and be like, you fucking take responsibility over the success of these hotels. I just like
keep it in-house.
I need control.
Yeah.
Right. So if things aren't working out, we're gonna meet with the team. We're gonna come up with ideas. We're gonna pivot. Yeah. And when we pivot right away. We have an idea. We're like, boom, we're rolling this out right now.
Definitely.
And when you're operating a third party, like I just feel like no one's gonna care more about your properties than you are as the owner, right? And so that's why we self-manage. But we will manage for some other third-party owners on a select basis. And so I understand how that all works. How do you do the accounting?
The accounting, like paying owners and stuff, and receiving money and stuff. So right now I'm in the beginning phases of the business still. It's not even a year old, and so I have all the money go directly to them, and then I'll invoice them and they pay me back. So they'll reimburse me for all the cleaning fees, and they'll pay me my management fee.
Okay, got it. Interesting.
So it's a little unconventional, but I know a couple other operators that do it that way, because technically you're supposed to have a broker's license if you're handling their money and then dispersing it. But there's some gray area because it's short-term rentals. So that's the law with long-term, with residential real estate.
Yeah. Now, who does the accounting, the P&Ls for each property though? Because you get a monthly P&L for each property, right? Who does that? Do you use third party? Do you do it yourself?
I just do it.
Damn, you're a boss, bro.
I just got new software, property management software, and it does it automatically. It's called Guesty.
Okay.
So
we use Guesty.
Yeah, they publish it automatically under owner operations, which has been really good. So.
Okay, got it. And then what about utilities?
Utilities for the properties?
Yeah.
The owners.
You pay that, or they pay it?
No, the owners pay for the utilities. Okay. The owners pay for all their utilities, mortgages, and stuff. So that it's not technically like full service. Like I'm not taking everything from them, right? They're paying their utilities. They're paying whatever gardeners they had before I came on. I'm handling everything.
And they're making sure those gardeners still show up and all that.
I'm doing it, and then I can tell when I go to the property if they hadn't been there.
What if a repair is needed?
For repairs needed, I have a handyman company here that
you source it all, take care of it.
I source it all,
and you'll just bill them back.
Yeah, plumbing, electrical, handyman. I got guys that can show up day of, and they've shown me that, and so I use them.
So I think how we've gone around that like property management thing is like, and this is how our legal counsel has drafted it, but we just have an agreement, and it says like we're co-hosting the property, not property managing it.
Oh, interesting.
And so we have all the funds from the different properties, whether it's our properties or their properties. Not the hotels. The hotels all have their own individual entities. So those funds go into the individual entity operating accounts. But for the Airbnbs, the single family stuff, whether it's ours or for clients, it all goes into like a trust account. And then all the expenses are paid out of there. And so they're all categorized every single month. Whether it's like an Amazon order for a guest that was like, hey, I need a blow dryer. This one broke. Or it's like housekeeping, or it's utilities. It all comes in and out of that account. And then at the end of each month, we do all the calculations. We have like an accounting team. We just switched. But anyways, it's a lot. It's a lot of freaking P&L. So like perspective, you're doing all that on your own.
It'll get to that point too. I think I'm going to switch in the next couple of months. Just be like, look, it's easier for me to just have the funds. I'll get some kind of banking where it's all, individual accounts. And then I'm able to do a payout for the owners as opposed, because that's what all the bigger companies do. It's more professional to do it that way. So I'm going to do that eventually.
With the hotels, the single family stuff, it's okay to like commingle as long as everything's categorized and it's all tracked. But with the hotels, because those are like commercial entities, they all have their own bank account. When we go to refi these deals and get new debt, some of those lenders will want to see clean P&Ls and they want to see bank statements, money in, money out. And so it's just a lot cleaner if each hotel has its own individual operating account.
So that's got to be much more watertight and a lot more official financially.
Yeah, I mean, imagine if they're like, hey, let's see bank statements for the last 12 months to do this refi, and then we pull up like the freaking management arm, like the trust account with like the money in, money out. There's so many transactions a day.
Yeah.
There's no way they would be able to like see exactly they'd have to pull it back, but it'd be tough. So it's just a little bit easier if it's like not commingled for the actual commercial assets, if that makes sense.
It's a lot to think about.
A lot to think about, yeah. Property management is not an easy business.
No, yeah.
Out of everything that we're doing, that's probably the toughest arm.
Yeah.
It's like the most headwind. You're putting out fires.
Yeah, you deal with so many personalities, man. Like one group might not say a peep for weeks, and you don't hear from them, right? And then another person will show up to the property, and 30 minutes in, they're like, "I found a hair on the floor. Found a stain on this pillow," and it's like, "Oh man, this is gonna be a long weekend."
So, do you have someone helping you with guest messaging at least?
There is,
because 23. That's 23 families checking in on a Sunday. Like, how do you? That's right. A lot.
There's a software called Host Buddy AI, and I met them at Patrick's Switek's convention.
Okay,
the one that you spoke at a few weeks ago, and so I just started doing that, and that's going to take over communications for 12 hours. And the AI will respond and communicate the way that I do. It'll use the same emojis, the same cadence of my messaging. So that's good. So from like 8 p.m. to 8 a.m., that's going to take care of that. But yeah, for now it's just me.
Damn,
so
dude, that's impressive.
I keep my phone close.
Yeah, well, you don't have the phone right now. We're talking on the pod.
Yeah, this all right. This is important.
Yeah.
So yeah, I can imagine I'm checking it. Yeah, it's all good. So if people need something, they can wait 20, 30 minutes. Like if they're like, oh, we're out of paper towels, it's like, okay, I can send that.
Respond within an hour, you're typically good.
If you love real estate investing, passive income, and tax benefits, but don't have the time, my company, Summers Capital, is buying boutique hotels right now. We source the deals, we renovate the properties, and we even handle all the day-to-day management, making it truly hands-off for our investors. If you want to learn more to see if we can help you, visit summerscapital.com/invest to book a call with our team. Again, that's summerscapital.com/invest. Now back to the show.
The only problems, and luckily this hasn't happened to me pretty much at all, is when people get locked out while I'm asleep, or if a plumbing disaster. None of that's happened in a long time, but when it does happen, it's a nightmare because people are sleeping in their cars, they're going to a hotel while they're supposed to be at your Airbnb because the power went out and they can't figure out how to get back in or something crazy. So
interesting
stuff happens.
So you use Guesty. What other tech do you use?
I use Guesty. I use Price Labs for all the automated pricing. Just started using the Host Buddy AI. So a lot of the technology that I use is just integrated now with Guesty. So Guesty's kind of the umbrella, but I'll use like the smart locks, the Schlage smart locks for all the automated codes. What other software are we using in the short term? Is that Turno for the cleaners?
What do they do?
Turno's great. You plug in your Airbnb or your property management software, and then they send notifications to your cleaners, and then add them to a calendar on the app, and then that app is synchronized with Guesty. So I used to just text the cleaners whenever there's a cleaning needed. I used to text them, let them know, and that was driving me crazy. So Turno automates all of it. Anytime there's a booking, it automatically sends a notification out to the cleaners, and whoever's first come, first serve clicks that button, they're on.
And so it could be like a bunch of cleaners that clean one property?
Yeah. Some of the cleaners have requested only keep me for that one property, and if I'm out of town, I'll let you know. And so I've respected that because they don't like when they come to the property and things are in different places. So a couple cleaners get their own properties, but for the most part, yeah, 2 or 3 cleaners will interchange for one property.
Yeah, crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm so out of tune with the operations for the property management.
Yeah, man.
That I'm like, a lot of this stuff is over my head, but I know they got freaking crazy stories. So I meet with them once a week, and we'll like go through all the hotels, all the properties, the reviews, and we track all these KPIs, the review averages, how many reviews per hotel per week.
And who's leading that team?
Andrea and Monica. Yeah,
cool.
They lead that, and then we have a team of 4 VAs in the Philippines. So it's really the 6 of them that are leading that, and that's a lot, dude. You're driving reviews and really trying to minimize expenses, trying to maximize the income. We got 4 hotels that will be refinancing next year, so I'm trying to really like drive that NOI. So we have a good trailing 12 months going to each of those properties, give us and our investors the best possible opportunity to have max refi proceeds when we go to refi.
This is Excelsior stays, right? So how many hotels and how many Airbnbs are you guys managing under that?
We manage 5 hotels under Excelsior stays. Airbnbs, I don't know off the top of my head. If I had to guess, probably like around what you're doing. If I had to guess,
23. Okay.
Between 20 and 30 Airbnbs. Okay. Yeah.
Just 20%, 25%, something in that range for management fees.
It's all over the board, depending on like who it's for, and also the market.
Yeah.
Because some markets are going to like just be stronger cash flow than others.
So you can charge a little less.
Yeah, and then because we want all of our owners to make money, obviously. And so we've even done master leases with some of our owners, just so it's like because a lot of these markets are seasonal, right? And so they got mortgages, they got all these expenses they need to pay.
So you're arbitraging.
So I'm like, hey, like, would it be easier for you if we just paid you a fixed monthly rate, and it's every single month it's this, and then every year we'll step it up a certain percentage. That way, whether it's slow season or busy season, you're getting this, and you can plan accordingly. And they're like, yeah, like a bunch of them said, yeah. So we pivoted over to that like maybe a year and a half ago. So we do that. And then we'll just pocket the spread. So some months we might, if it's slow season, we might even come out of pocket. And then busy season, we'll pocket the spread. So I don't know, man, but it's managing the hotels is like a lot more economies of scale.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot more economies of scale, but
when you say that, what are you referring to exactly? Economies of scale.
So it's like, instead of managing, let's say for you're mostly in San Diego, so that is essentially taking advantage of the economy of scale. But let's just say for us, we're managing in a bunch of different markets. So let's just say that we are managing 20 short-term rentals in 5 markets around the country. That's 5 set of housekeepers, 5 set of maintenance, 20 set of like guests checking in, 20 sets of utilities, mortgage payments, all that sort of stuff, right? Property tax bills, all that. So then now, we have a 24 unit hotel, let's just say, for example, that's 1 set of maintenance, 1 set of housekeeping, 1 set of mortgage, all that sort of stuff. That's what I mean by it.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. But I don't know, man. The boutique hotel stuff, it's like even though we say like our model is like remote self-check-in, self-checkout, we do have a couple properties where we have like a front desk. We have someone that's on site, because like it's just, you're managing renovation. We got a lot of stuff going on, so you still need some level of on site.
Some properties they live in the area, or they live at the hotel.
Live in the area.
Okay, because you guys got rid of those like innkeeper suites, right? And
Correct.
to make more
Yeah.
money.
Now some hotels we truly self check and self check out.
Yeah. That's cool.
And then some are kind of a hybrid, which we're like right now Zendel here in Lit Italy. We'll have a front desk there. She'll be there like for the busy check-ins and the busy checkouts.
That's good.
You know, just kind of help people get to their room, answer any big questions. Also ask for that 5-star review when they're leaving. And then the other hours that are not busy, it's remote. Right? So it just depends. That's kind of like a hybrid model.
That's cool, man. I would love to, once I grow my business and I have someone doing the whole operations and I'm hands off, I want to join that mastermind and rip some hotels with you guys.
Yeah, dude.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah, man.
That sounds like the next step. Once you've done enough Airbnbs, right? Don't you have kind of like a, hey, if you want to join this mastermind, you should own property and have managed short-term rentals, then join it? Is that kind of some...
I would say almost all of our members have Airbnbs.
Oh, cool. Okay.
And or they like co-host. They manage Airbnbs for other people. I would say almost all of them. And so you already have the experience, like more than enough experience. But yeah, now they're like, okay, like I want to get in the hotel game. And then we have someone that owns like 13 hotels. He's been in the game for like 20 plus years.
And he's in the mastermind?
Yeah, we got two dudes.
Oh, that's awesome.
Two dudes in the group, Michael Russell and Nate Dogg. Actually, Michael Russell was just on the podcast recently.
I know Michael.
They live in Maui. Yeah. But they just won #1 small hostel of the year in all of North America.
So cool.
With their hostel in Maui.
That pod was cool because I didn't know anything about hostels, and I was listening to him talk about it, and I've met him a couple of times, and then
at meetups and stuff.
Yeah, I met him at meetup. Tommy introduced us at the meetup because he has a house in OB. He wants to Airbnb, so we're in talks about what he's going to do with that. And then I saw him at OB Beans when we were because we're both in the mastermind for the 7-figure creator too. Yeah. So I saw him at in OB. We're both sitting at different tables.
Really?
On the
OB Noodle House or what?
OB Beans, the coffee shop.
Okay,
we're both on separate laptops in the same meeting. Just super funny. He's a cool guy.
Oh, that's awesome. Pretty funny. That's dude, you should have said that in the call. That's pretty funny.
I know, I wanted to.
I love that. Funny. I love that. But yeah, there's like a lot of freaking badasses in that group. But it's been fun.
It's stacked.
It's been fun, dude. Yeah. But that's and then also like with the co-hosting stuff, like we talk about that stuff too a little bit. But it's mostly hotels. So, dude, with all the stuff that you're doing, man, like what's next for you?
My next level right now, ideally, is to grow the business to 100 units. I feel like that's a good number. I feel like a lot of operators get to that point, and that's when their business it's a full-fledged company, right? You got 7-8 people working for you. It's a big team, and you're less day-to-day, like way, way, way less day-to-day, and you're just getting clients. You're just operations, behind-the-scenes stuff. I have another business that I run too. It's a vending machine business.
Okay, tell me about that.
So that's more of the side hustle, solopreneur up until the last week. So I just hired someone. I have 4 different locations, 2 down here right by Petco Park, in ALX and K1. So those big apartment complexes. Yeah. And then 1 in Carlsbad at a big office, and then cold brew coffee machine at K1.
How does one get into the vending machine space?
If you want to get into the vending machine space, I highly recommend looking at Biz Buy Sell because there are vending machine portfolios going up for sale every month. I see them all the time. I get emails about them. You can get into the vending machine game for a relatively low amount of money because a lot of these guys will do owner financing because it's a super niche, like non-traditional business, right? And a lot of them are solopreneurs. So there are a lot of guys that are doing it themselves, like how I was for 2 years almost. You can buy. So I bought my first vending machines from a guy named Quinn down here in San Diego. He has like 100. Okay. I bought 2, the ones at ALX and K1 from that website.
And what does something like that run?
So those are luxury vending machines. So they're called smart coolers. They're not your like classic dollar and coin, the little rings and they push out a candy bar. You swipe your credit card, you open it up, and whatever you take, that's what the machine charges you. So those are expensive. So those are about $20,000 each.
Damn. Okay.
Not in value of the machine, but the machine themselves are worth about $8,000, and then the contract, right? The profit for a year is what he wanted as well.
Okay, got it. So you mentioned Alexis and K1; those are 2 like luxury high-rise apartment buildings, correct?
Right.
Downtown San Diego, and so that agreement's only good for 1 year to be there.
No, so the agreements are indefinite. And I'm working on getting better contracts with them right now because there really isn't a contract right now. It's just kind of, they know me, they like me, I provide a service for free, and I do my job well. And especially now that I've hired someone to do it, I'm going to be able to do it even better and have him come more often. But yeah, they're great. They're great little cash flow machines. They do really well. I mean, you buy a can of Celsius at Costco for $1.25, and then in these machines, people are buying them for $5. So there's huge margins. It's a great little business. I want to grow that business too on the side while I'm growing this business, just very passively. But
yeah,
it's cool.
So what does one of those luxury machines make per month?
And the one at ALX makes it profits about $1,400 a month. So after all expenses, I'm doing like $15,000 a year on that vending machine, which is crazy
per machine.
Yeah, and not all machines are created equal. Some sites will do a lot less. Some don't have as many people living there. Some just aren't used as often. So you'll have someone say, "Oh, I have 20 vending machines, but I only profit $20K a year." It's because each of those machines are only doing $1,000 a year, right? So it doesn't mean just because you have a luxury smart cooler doesn't mean you're going to make that much money. I just have very blessed to be in awesome locations that I paid a lot of money for.
And then you need someone to go down there and restock supplies. How often does that need to happen?
For the ones near Petco Park, twice a week.
Twice a week.
The one in Carlsbad, twice a week. And then that cold brew coffee machine's like twice a month.
And so after paying someone to do all that, you're still profiting the 14K, 15K.
A year? I mean, yeah, I'm paying this guy about $700 a month to do it.
And
it's not that much time.
Damn.
Yeah, it's like 10 hours a week for all 4 machines.
Okay.
It's really quick. And so I was doing it myself because I'm like, this is great. I just had a profit of almost $20,000 last year between the 2 machines. I just got these 2 other ones this year, so I don't know yet. But I was making all this money and working 10 hours a week on it. I'm like, I can't give this up yet. It's too good.
Yeah. And then where are the 2 other ones you bought?
In Carlsbad, and then the other one's also at K1.
K1. Oh, you have 2 at K1.
Yeah.
So what stops like all these other machines to go into your same location? So now you have all this competition.
So yeah, there's competition, but when people have approached the property managers there, because they've got like Greystar or whatever manning those buildings, they just say, "Oh, we have a guy. Thank you for your interest, but we have someone. His name's Billy. He does a great job." So there's a lot of loyalty just because I know them now and I take good care of the machines. I give the property managers 50% off on all the product. I give them free stuff. So like. Yeah, and Quinn, my vending machine mentor, he like still gives them Padres tickets. He still like blesses them too because they gave him a great business that he eventually sold to me. And so that guy's been fundamental in how to manage the business, how to grow it. He's been really cool. And even though I bought the machines from him 2 years ago, he still is reaching out. Like he still will hop on a phone call with me if I have questions. It's really cool.
That's pretty cool, dude. Yeah, there's a bunch of like unique like little businesses like that. Another one that I'm learning more and more about is in the solar space. Not solar, but they basically electric vehicle charging. Okay. And so they'll go and meet like commercial real estate owners, whether it's apartment buildings or like hotels, and they'll say, hey, like, okay, you own this, like, let's just say one of our hotels, 40 rooms, right? They'll be like, okay, we'll put in like 4 electric charging stations in your parking lot.
Like for Teslas?
It's amenity to your guests, yeah. Okay. And then now the guests get to charge their cars, and then they will give us a slice of all the income, right? And so now it's a commercial hotel. They'll install it basically for free. They'll do all the maintenance. They'll give us a slice of the revenue because they know, hey, people are going to be coming and using the charging stations and be paying for it. And then us as the hotel operator or the owner, one, our guests are going to like it because they get the amenity. 2, we get cash flow every single month. That drops to the bottom line, right? Because we don't have any expenses on that income. If anything, it's bringing more guests to come stay, and we could charge a higher room rate. And then that drops to the bottom line, increase our NOI. And because these hotels are commercial real estate, they're valued based on the income approach, it increases the value of these hotels. So I'm like learning more about this, and I'm like, okay, well, maybe we try it with a couple of our properties and see how it goes. But I thought that was unique.
So are they working for Tesla? Are they working for these companies? Or are they like the middleman? Like, hey, I have the ability to install these chargers for you. Let me do it.
I don't know for certain.
Yeah,
it's a good question, but really I believe they are like a middleman. It's like true, like third party.
Yeah, it sounds like they're going on Tesla or whatever website. They're buying these chargers and then they're just installing them, and they have their bank account tied to these chargers, and then they're paying you and they're paying themselves.
Yeah, see, I don't know, and I've never driven an electric car, so I don't know. But like, is it like only for Tesla or only for like X car, or do these electric charging stations charge all types of different electric cars?
So I've had a Tesla for 3 years, and they're getting more universal now. So some charging stations will have the adapter, because the Tesla charger is for Teslas only worldwide. They have a certain plug-in, that's it. But there's other companies, BMW, Toyota, that are making electric cars, and they use another charger, right? So it's like a universal charger for everything else that's not Tesla. So Tesla's now starting to use an adapter. They're starting to sell those adapters, which is really cool. So if they're offering to install 4 chargers in your hotel, they're probably doing a universal charger where it could be a Tesla or for those cars too.
Okay.
It's my guess, because I'm more likely to book a hotel if they have charging, especially if it's free.
Totally.
Like, okay, yeah.
Now this is definitely paid by the guest.
Yes, because you guys would have to pay those guys to install those, and then pay them monthly if you were offering it as an amenity.
Yes, otherwise they wouldn't make any money.
Right.
Right. So it's interesting. So I'm looking into that, and then cell towers on top of these commercial buildings. That's a big
cell
towers. Yeah.
Oh.
So it's very dependent on location.
Yeah.
But certain, commercial buildings in certain areas will qualify for, like the local area could be like, hey, we could use an extra cell tower. And so if you have a commercial building in like a highly densely populated area, they might say, okay, well, we'll pay you to put a cell tower on top of your building. And then that's cash flow as well. So that's another way to like increase the NOI.
That's crazy. There's so many ways people make money, and then you hear about it, you're like, wow, why didn't I think of that?
Yeah.
Damn it.
No, it's crazy. So doing the Airbnb stuff and then doing the vending machine stuff, which one are you more excited about?
Oh, I'm more excited about the Airbnb stuff for sure. Just because every client I get with Airbnb, the return on the investment is much greater. So that's why I said, like, I'll let the vending machine business grow naturally, grow passively, because that's how I got the last account. Was somebody reached out and they heard about what I was doing through the grapevine, and they're like, hey, we'd love to put a machine. Can you buy it? And we'll let you put it there for free. You won't have to pay us anything. So that's exciting. But I'm more excited about the Airbnb game for sure, because that every time that business grows a little more, the return on the investment is a lot bigger.
So as you like look forward, what's the goal? Are you looking to scale to 100 units on the co-hosting business?
Scale to 100 units, maybe even bigger.
Okay.
Right now I'm in Patrick Switek's mastermind on buying short-term rental companies.
Okay.
So I'm looking to acquire somebody either in LA or Big Bear, just a different market, and have, add that to the portfolio, which I'll definitely need a team for that. So I'm planning on hiring someone here in the next month.
Yeah.
But that's my goal right now, is to grow by acquiring and then grow naturally. So I'm excited. Yeah, it's gonna be a good little journey. It's been a great journey so far. I'm really impressed with how great everyone's been, how kind everyone is in the business. Like even guys that are my competition, right? They're like, hey, if there's 6,000 Airbnbs in San Diego, give or take, we only need to manage 100 each to be making millions of dollars. So we're friends. Like, you want to get coffee, like learn from me. One of the guys that gave me an arbitrage deal, I rent Chris Luna's property on Hornblende. And so I'm arbitraging his spot. That was given to me by another guy who's doing the same thing I'm doing, running a co-hosting business. And I paid him money for it, but he was willing to offer it to me. And
that's crazy.
So we're friends, and we're also competitors, and we are very much aware that the market's big enough to be friends and competitors at the same time. So it's pretty cool.
What would you tell someone listening to this right now that maybe has a W-2 job, full-time career, and they're like, man, I've always wanted to get in the real estate investing game, but I don't know if it's for me. Family members are telling me it's too risky, and I just haven't yet pulled the trigger on it. What would you tell them?
I mean, you can start small. You can start on the side, right? Get into a syndication, put a little bit of money in, watch that money grow. You can do, there's 0% loans out there. There's ways to get money. Like you said earlier, like there's ways to put down payments without it being your own money. It's scary, but go for it, right? There's ways to start on the side, like I did during my summers off as a teacher, where I was able to learn and improve my knowledge on it. And so I would just say, if you're trying to leave that 9 to 5, start small and to take a risk, go for it. Because at the end of the day, like, it's going to pay off if you really believe in it. And if you work your ass off, it's going to be worth it for sure.
Do you got a lot of your buddies from your teaching days that are like, they see your success and like, dude, like, how do I get in that too?
I wish. I
Really?
haven't heard. No, I haven't
No one
really heard
cares.
from much of them, which is a bummer. But I would
Yeah.
love to help them learn, right? Whether it's vending machines, whether it's Airbnb stuff. I get a lot of calls about the vending machines. Like, friends are like, "How do you do it?"
Yeah.
Get me involved. I'm like, dude, I get lead flow all the time. I get Quinn, my mentor, I get him sending me stuff all the time, like every month. Like, hey, here's a $25,000 portfolio. It nets $1,200 a month. Do you want it? Or bounce it to someone else. So I get that lead flow. So I get people calling me all the time, and I've offered it to friends, but people are scared. People are hesitant to pull the trigger. You're always hearing scary stuff on the news. You're always hearing about the economy that's about to crash. They want to hang on to their cash. They want to hang on to their money, which is, it's okay.
No, I get it. I'm curious because you manage 23 rentals. What is the craziest Airbnb story you have?
This is a crazy and really scary one. I thought I was going to get sued. So my wife and I used to live in our tiny house behind the Airbnb in Claremont. So I bought that Airbnb in Claremont in 2020, turned it into an Airbnb July 2022, built an ADU tiny house behind it a few months before that. So when we got married 2 years ago, we moved into there and had lived there since then. We heard a knock on our ADU at like 10 in the morning. I come outside in my shorts with no shirt on, and I'm like, oh my God, what's going on? This woman is covered in blood. She's just covered in cuts everywhere. And my heart starts racing. I feel like I'm gonna throw up. She's like, she didn't say this. She said, I opened up your shower door and it shattered on me. And so that's when a little red flag went off. I'm like, you opened it up? So I go to the front of the house. Her boyfriend's out there, and she starts yelling at me because she's like, the owner's not even concerned. He doesn't believe me that I opened the door. So she's screaming. She's like, I'm going to sue you, like all this stuff. Her boyfriend just goes, hey, whatever her name was, go inside. Let us talk. I'm going to talk to him. And he puts his hand on his face. He's like, I'm so sorry. She's still drunk from last night. She ran through it on her way to the shower because it was clear glass. She didn't see it. It was so clean, she didn't see it. Cleaners did too good of a job. She ran through it and broke it and then tried to pass it off as it shattered on her. And her boyfriend was like, I'm so sorry. She's not going to sue you. Please ignore her. Like, I'm really sorry about her waking. Like, if she woke you up, I'm sorry. So I instantly felt way better. And I was like, hey, I'll pay for breakfast, man. Like, I'm sorry this happened.
10 o'clock or 1 o'clock in the morning?
It was early, but it might have been earlier than 10 o'clock in the morning. I think we were getting ready to go to church. So I think it was around 9 or 10 on a Sunday. So that's a way to start your day for sure.
Yeah.
That was super scary. That was pretty gnarly. I've had somebody come back to the property and use an old code and came in while there was guests sleeping. He was drunk. It's always when people are drunk, man. That's why alcohol makes you do crazy things, man. They came in to another guest. So once that happened, I had to start changing the codes, obviously. And it was a while ago, though. Stuff happens.
Yeah, no, there's always stuff. I mean, the team always has freaking crazy stories, but
and you're like, don't tell me, this stresses me out.
I'm numb to it. I'm numb to it all.
Yeah.
Like there's nothing that really phases me now. I'm just like, whatever.
Would you say the scariest things happened was when your hotel up north flooded and right when you guys were about to close that deal?
Honestly, that didn't even faze me.
Cool.
Yeah, I'm just like so numb to everything now. Yeah. I really one of the things I realize in this game is like things are never as good as they seem, and they're never as bad as they seem.
Amen.
And so I've learned to be very even keeled when hearing all this information, putting out fires left and right, and then jumping into a podcast right after, and it's just part of the game, dude. So I'm like numb to it now. Like
roll with the punches.
Roll with the punches, and we always figure it out, dude. And I think that's when you go all in on anything and your back is against the wall, like there's going to be shit that goes wrong. There's going to be shit that flops. Like that's just part of the game. You can't plan for everything. But like when your back is against the wall and like you don't have a plan B, like you will figure it out. And then each time you figure it out, you unlock a new level. And then each new level that you get to, you like enjoy it and you like kind of relax for a second, and then you get smacked. Something else happens, right? And then now your back is against the wall again. You got to fucking figure it out. You got to crawl yourself out of that hole, and then you unlock a new level. And that's just how the game works, man. So I'm just like, I'm numb to it all now. And so now when shit happens, I'm just like, whatever. Like, we'll figure it out.
And that was a process, all right? Would you say at the beginning, like when big shit would happen, you'd be like, oh my God. And now it's kind of like, you've gotten better at it?
I remember with that first 11 unit apartment building that I bought in 2019, that was my first deal, $350,000. Like a few tenants moved, like 3 of the 11 tenants moved out right when I closed, and I hired the wrong property manager. Yeah. And I was like, oh my gosh, the world's coming to an end. Like this is crazy.
Heart's
what am I
racing,
gonna do to deal
you can't
with this?
sleep. Yeah,
And now I'm just like, shit like that doesn't even get me out of bed,
I remember when I bought my first Airbnb in Arizona, the first month I owned it, the AC broke. It was just done, toast. And I was so mad at I was so anxious about it that I felt like I was having a heart attack. Like I had a proper panic attack, and I've only had like 2 of those in my life. And I'm on the beach in Maui with my family. My grandparents took us on a family trip, and I'm having a panic attack about this. And I look back at it now, and I'm like, if an AC broke today, which has happened to clients' houses, you just figure it out. You call the AC company, they get it done within the day. Arizona is different because if you don't have no AC, you can't live there.
Yeah. Give the guest a little refund. They're happy.
Yeah. Now I've got like full on like quarterly inspections. I make sure that doesn't happen. But when stuff like that happens now, like you said, like at the beginning, like years ago, that would have made me panic and really stressed me out. But I've gotten a lot more blunt to these kind of issues. Like if a guest claims I did something or they're threatening me, I'm just like, all right, I've heard it all at this point.
Yeah. No, it's how the game works, though, and you will continue to get more and more numb to all these things. That's just how it works, and so that's the beauty of the game, man. You know, it's about the reps, it's about the at bats, and the more you play the game, the more you realize like shit is never as good as it seems, and shit is never as bad as it seems. You know, that's the beauty of it. Well, dude, I appreciate you coming on, man. I'm fucking always inspired by you, man. Everything that you're doing and building. I cannot wait to see where you go next.
You as well, man.
Where can the folks get in touch with you and tell us about your new podcast?
On Instagram is where I'm primarily posting my content. It's billy.elevate. Just a lot of like lifestyle, vending machine, property management stuff. Trying to be in one direction.
I love the content.
Yeah.
It's good. It's good stuff.
Your mastermind's helped out a lot. So check me out on there. The podcast is called The Elevated Entrepreneur. I just like talking about anything entrepreneurial. Right now, there's just 6 episodes out. So they're little snippets. It's nothing too crazy. So you can go check it out. It'll take you about 7-8 minutes each one.
I love the little quick hitters.
Yeah.
Those are good.
For now, yeah. And then I'll get to this level where I'm more comfortable. I can bring on guests and we can talk for 45 minutes, an hour, whatever. So you guys do 2 hours sometimes, you know. It just happens.
Sometimes.
Let it flow.
Gotta let it rip.
Yeah.
Dude, love it, man. Keep crushing it. Let's go hang out at the frickin' Beers and Deals meetup. He's Billy Perez. I'm Rich Summers. Listeners, thanks for tuning in. We'll see you in the next one. Peace.